So hello all, and sorry about the mix-up of going to a second Zoom meeting. My fault. All right, so I'll call the subcommittee meeting to order at 1:08 p.m. So one of the things is like looking for the facts and figures. Lynn has been digging through some of Jared's files, but not everything has been in there. I have kind of gotten some things together from that. But going back to Leslie's files, she's got tons of folders. She's got all handwritten stuff. But for example, like I went to Camp Kent and looked at different sheets of paper that they had and the numbers for the weekly attendance for the different weeks. There were at least two different copies, and they didn't even jibe week to week. So what I did do was go through all the, like 2018, all the kids that registered for Camp Kent, and there were 40, I found 43 registrations. Whereas
What was that? 2018? What was it?
2018, which is really the 2019, 2018, 2019. It was the last Camp Kent before COVID.
18 to 19.
Yeah, so it was really the 2019 Camp Kent
Yeah.
registration, and there were 43 registration forms.
Mm-hmm.
2022,
Mm-hmm.
and I went by the sign-in sheets
Mm-hmm.
there, because there were, I think, some registrations where kids didn't show up at all.
Mm-hmm. So this is 2022, did you say?
2022, and we had 62 participants from the weekly sign-in sheets, 62 different kids. There were 7 other registered people, but I couldn't find the names on any of the sign-in sheets. So I
Okay.
don't know whether they had registered and then just never participated. I think it's safer to say, 2019, 43 campers,
Mm-hmm.
2022, 62 campers. That's a significant jump.
Yes, and I think if we also looked at the cost, I think we adjusted the cost for what from 2019, the cost went up.
Yeah. I think it was $125 in 2019. I don't know what it is now.
And then do we have 2023 numbers?
Not yet, because they'd be coming up.
Or 2024,
This
right?
summer.
Well, last
So the
year's numbers.
2022 is really the 2023 camp.
Summer.
Okay, so 2023 summer.
Yeah.
So do we have 2022 summer? Or
I
we did it, we've
find
done it
those.
twice.
Those I don't have, I couldn't find yet. I was concentrating on trying to go through Leslie's numbers and stuff like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
And I know that this wrinkle about whether or not the town should ask Camp Club Getaway whether they would be willing to take over Club Camp Kent. I we could ask them, but I don't like that idea. I think that the argument is that for continuity's sake, you've got kids who are in the after-school program, you've got school kids, you're gonna have hopefully, and it's the town, I think it's the town responsibility, but I think that's one of the angles that um Marty would come back at and say, wow, have you tried to hand off Camp Kent to Club Getaway? I can make the phone call.
I would say make the phone
I
call
think
because
that's
if he's gonna,
something the commission should discuss.
Yeah, I agree. I think the commission should discuss that.
Kate,
okay,
just,
I just feel like if he's gonna ask it, we
Make
what's
the
the harm?
shot.
What's the harm in asking? I mean,
Right.
what is the argument? I mean, I'd like to hear more about what his argument for that is. I mean, you mentioned continuity, but
Well, I think because I had brought up to him that one of the things about having a recreational leadership position is that you now have a two-man department or two-person department with a variety of recreational aid, part-time people, and some volunteers. And I think that also ensures smooth running of the department, because if in fact something happened to our director, they got into a car accident, they got COVID, you have one other person who knows what's going on and can,
yeah,
keep the programs running, because they would be in charge of the two biggest programs and would have working knowledge of all the other programs.
right. Continuity,
And I think
dependability for
other
the families.
departments
Yeah.
in town, you have the tax collector, you have an assistant tax collector, you have
Mhm.
the assessor, you have an assistant assessor. And there's not, other than the fact that
You,
we make this a full-time position, we're going to be looking at benefits. The the that cost should be counterbalanced by the increase in revenue that other programs will bring in.
so there's a two-person department precedent. We have tax collector and assistant tax collector. You just rattled off another one.
Well, the assessor has other people in the office. You have,
life is trying to get back in, Rufus.
I haven't seen her yet.
No,
Is she trying to get back in the
she
wrong?
just texted us. She got knocked off.
Oh, trying to reconnect. Huh. Wonder what happened up on the hill.
Maybe her wireless is out or something. Um, okay, where were we? We were backup people in all other departments in town?
Yeah, just trying to get a sense of other
Yeah,
departments in town that have more than one person.
yeah.
And they may be part-time. Um,
And if it's a part-time position does not have benefits, correct? So that's,
right.
yeah.
But some of them
Eh,
do. I mean, but um,
So Rufus, I mean, I think the another point to be made is that in, the plan B, should something happen to our director, what has happened in the past is that the chairman of this commission becomes basically the director,
and I can
and
tell
that's
you right
untenable.
now, that's really difficult.
Yeah,
Lynn has been doing half the work. I've been doing half the work. And the two of us together are probably, you know, I mean, spending hours and hours and hours and you know, we're a volunteer commission.
right, 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 right,
Suppose I was on vacation that week,
right.
so it it is taking part-time positions. I think what people didn't think about was the fact that you're already paying a majority of that salary as in part-time
Right.
positions. And the fact is that you'd probably not be using quite as many um, paid aides if you had a full-time recreational leader.
To me, that's always been the meat of the argument right there.
Yeah.
And I
So,
think that's going to speak to the financial committee most. And that's, yeah,
Right.
so
But,
what,
you want a department that will run smoothly.
yeah. But
what,
but I think also, just sorry to interrupt you, Abigail, but also the thing I think that Marty and everyone needs is that if you're going to ask Park and Rec to have not only just lessons for activities and stuff, but programs that parents actually depend on, you have to have a contingency plan. And your contingency plan cannot be that the chair of this committee takes over as the director. If you're going to have families who depend on these programs, like they depend on a public school or they depend on, you know what I mean? So
And the other thing Marty was like, well, why are you guys getting involved in the senior center lunches? Um, and that should be up to social services. They should be doing it. And I mean, I think we're working with social services. We're not taking over. But there are a lot of activities that Park and Rec are interested in doing that will serve seniors. As well as maybe non-seniors. Trips. Working with Warren and that, taking trips, doing pickleball, things like that, which are earmarked more to. I was in New Milford yesterday. I was driving the bus for the senior center because we have Thursdays is like the food day that they can go to the food kitchen or whatever, the food pantry. And I went down to Park and Rec, and at the gym there was like 3 or 4 pickleball games going on, and they were all senior citizens. That New Milford. So we should be getting involved with Park and Rec programs for senior age. It's not our interest goes beyond just maybe
yeah.
hosting some of the lunches. Okay, now here we go. There we go.
Sorry, something weird happened up here.
That's okay.
I had to reboot my entire computer and wait for Zoom to load back up again. So,
Glad you're back, Blythe.
ah,
Glad you're back. Nice to see you. So Blythe, we were just talking about, there seems to be sort of a mood of, or a sort of a theme of, that Parks and Rec may be involved in things that should, or could be delegated elsewhere. Everybody stop me if I'm wrong. For instance, why is Parks and Rec getting involved in the breakfasts? Why can't, Camp Kent take over the summer camp? Why, that sort of and so Rufus was just talking about how programs that we run, like pickleball for the elderly, sort of foot in nicely with what social services is doing, and it should be combined, not separate. I really say that well.
In
So
terms of the other thing is with the maintenance that we have Ed doing Ed Matson does the maintenance, and as Jared said the other day, that's sort of the micro, like we have an issue with a tree that falls down or something, we get Ed to come in and clean it up, that kind of thing. But as far as the big picture maintenance, particularly with Emery Park issues, we don't have anybody to do that. We'd have to contract out for any of that work. The mowing of the fields is done by the town crew. And, so they have a guy on the town crew who mows the fields, but he doesn't necessarily do it on a schedule that benefits some of our programs, not necessarily, because we're not necessarily in charge of when he mows. So that was something else, Jared had said maybe we need to look into conversations with the town crew, and I know Lynn has already brought up the fact that maybe there should be another town crew member, but I doubt that.
I'll be right back.
Okay. The town will do that. But we may want to try to have a larger role in asking for the mowing schedule to fit our needs rather than, and I don't know how that'll work. That's sort of where I'm coming from the last week. I know we need to get tighter numbers on revenue and whatnot, but I missed Barbara. I had a crazy week. I think that's key would be to look at revenue and look at the at also how other departments are set up, you know, like land use. They had Donna Hayes, who'd been there, and then when she retired, they hired her back as an assistant. So it's, you know, now they've got other people who have knowledge of what's going on in the departments. And I think it makes sense what we're trying to do. Have a second person on board.
I mean, it certainly seems, you know, there's all kinds of ways to look at and say, okay, well, can't existing town organizations or other commissions or other departments take over half of the stuff to avoid, I mean, if this is all just like let's avoid hiring another person by farming it out to other places, you're still, you know, are these people sitting on their hands with enough time to do all this work? It doesn't seem like it's a logical argument to me. I don't know.
No, I don't, I agree. I mean, I think, yeah, and Marty's one of three votes on the Board of Selectmen,
Right.
but that's sort of his, what,
Do you think we could sit down with them and just have a conversation at like we're having now and say, ask them, what would you need? What do you need to know for us to propel this further? Or, I mean, if this is going to be just sort of a dead on arrival idea, if everyone's just, I mean, rather than put together this presentation that I know we're supposed to be doing, I mean, I know you made your case to Marty, but would it make sense for us to simply just
well, I mean,
sit with the
didn't
Board of
make my
Selectmen?
case so much as, you know, I was going to get more basketballs for the new coach and,
We lost Abby, yeah.
uh,
Had to drop. I know she said she was available 1 to 1:30, and then at 2 again.
Yeah. So I think, it would be like going, fighting for a client in a courtroom.
Yeah,
You're trying to predetermine the opposing arguments.
exactly.
And so I think, we're trying to come up with our best argument.
Right. And
And then we
but to
just
have
have
them
to,
understand, I think there's aspects of this that if you're not in it, like we are, that you wouldn't necessarily understand. If you don't have kids at Kent Center School, if you're not part of, sort of the
Right.
fabric of Kent Parks and Rec, that there's aspects of this that you just wouldn't have thought of before. So I think anyway,
were you there at the vote last year?
I was not, sadly.
No, I can't remember how close it was, but
I watched the
I
video.
felt that was
Yeah.
orchestrated by people who were dead set against it to make sure that meeting had people there.
Oh, but I think it was people, I believe people were convinced based on not, they didn't have a full understanding of what Parks and Rec does.
Well, I agree that there were a lot of people there that were given some false information, I think.
Or just not they weren't given complete information.
Or
And
not
I think we've said, I mean, I think the argument that some people in the town hall were looking at their salary and then looking at, oh my gosh, we're going to hire someone else in Parks and Rec. So I think we can all have sympathy for that. That was I mean, But I think once you look at the program and you look at the numbers, I think that's why it's so important for us to present numbers so people can see that this isn't just we're trying to do something that's logistically important, financially important. We're not just trying to, have a bigger, I don't know, more trucks and more, I was not at that meeting, but I think it was frustrating. I don't think anybody, including Jared, I don't think anyone was prepared for what happened that day, clearly. And
No.
that's, and I think that's a responsibility, I guess, that's our responsibility. It's our fault. And, we weren't prepared.
So I mean, the first step will be obviously Board of Selectmen, second step, Board of Finance. Hopefully we can argue that we feel that there's enough support in town for making the Park and Rec Department stronger. There has been growth. It needs continuity, and we're doing it in an economically sound way by, if you consider revenues coming in from increased participation in programs. And it is not a major contribution to a jump in the budget. I mean, it will contribute something, but it's not as large as people think it is.
Right.
And I think in terms of what we're doing, Abigail put on, if you would like to proceed with the presentation, any thoughts on visuals would be helpful. So if you saw that on the chat. I think that's where we need to concentrate on.
Here's a
Okay, well,
question.
I just think, I think that our presentation is gonna be great. I just think we need to back it up with numbers. And
Right.
and so I think we all are pretty solid on what
So-
our talking points are. I just think they're gonna ask for numbers and we gotta give them numbers. So,
So I think that's gonna be key part. So what numbers are we looking for? We're gonna look at, say, 2019 as a comparison.
hang on, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
That was COVID, right? So, I feel like we got to go back before COVID, when
Well,
things.
I'm talking 2018-19. That's the last year before.
Okay,
So it'd be the 2018 budget year.
yeah,
And we'll be looking at getting expenses versus revenue.
yeah,
And then we could do the same thing for 2022-23.
Yep.
Same thing, expenses versus revenue. But then we can break down 2022-23 and have a separate slide that would show the Camp Kent salary, the after-school program salary for the directors versus the difference of what we would propose a full-time salary position would be.
okay,
And then look at the revenues and say, here, the increase in revenues because of increase in participants and the increase in programs, will only continue if we can free up the director to do what a director should do.
Yeah.
I think most departments in town have somebody to take the minutes of the meeting and don't expect the director to take the minutes of the meeting.
Oh, I was gonna ask, the other departments in the town, how many of them are one-person departments?
Um, I can't think of any. We have one tax collector, we have one assessor, we have one town clerk, but we have an assistant town clerk.
Right.
We have an assistant, so, I mean, and those are all part-time. We have several people in land use. We pay a lot of money for the guy who does all the inspections for housing and stuff like that, all the improvements and things like that.
But I mean, I think I would love to be able to say if it's true that this is the only one-person department in the town that's charged with such a broad range of responsibility. Like when it's all the programming, it's all the communication, it's all the, being on top of all the maintenance. It's all the filing, it's all the office work, it's all the phone answering. It's one person.
It's one person, and as far as I'm concerned, that means that for those people who are complaining because that person isn't in the town hall at any specified time, that's can't be the job. I mean, I think
Yep.
the commission understands that their job is well over 40 hours a week, with all the other stuff that they have to do. And we're not getting what we need to get in terms of time for the director to pursue grants, to pursue getting stuff together for a master plan for Emory, which people are upset about, that Emory is sort of laid fallow for a few years. Um, um, it is set up to burn out whoever the director is.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's one of the things we should spend a little time on is look at what you were asking this one person department to do.
Right.
And I'm writing this in all of our notes, our ongoing notes, so you can kind of see, but it's like office work, communication, advertising, collecting the fees, setting up and breaking down for the various activities, meeting with the providers, taking notes at minutes at meetings, walking the parks and the fields, covering staffing shortages. Like, it's insane.
I don't think people realize what we're asking one person to do. And so I think that's what we need to make clear. And the biggest thing is, I think we've had some really good people who have come in as camp director or whatnot, but that's simply not enough to keep them. So they're here for a year, maybe two, then they're gone. and then we've struggled, and we've had times where, even the after-school program, which is so essential to families with two working parents, where they came so close to having to shut down completely. So.
Sorry, sorry.
Let's take a step back for a second. I know, Rufus, you said we need to have a meeting of the full commission pretty soon to put this out. Like, what are we looking at in terms of timing at this point? Because we are running out of time on this.
Yeah, I think if we can get the financial numbers, I think we've got most of the rest of it. There is a 3 o'clock meeting of the commission. Hopefully, it's a special meeting though. So, and the agenda there, it'll be really short.
When is that?
We have to hire a rec aide. One of the two rec aides that Lynn and I had originally interviewed declined. He just changed his mind. So we'd like to hire this other guy so that he can actually work this weekend.
This is a meeting that's scheduled for today.
Yeah, 3 o'clock.
Okay, how did I not know about this?
I thought I'd sent out a note. Maybe I got it screwed up, but
Kate, were you aware of that?
No. Was not aware.
that's my fault then. I thought I'd shared it with the different when I sent it to Darlene, but maybe I forgot.
So tell us what's happening at 3 p.m.
It's just a special meeting. We've got, let me see if I can find the agenda here. Hold on one second.
It's not even posted on the website.
It should have been.
It's not. I mean,
And the park,
there's a Board of Selectmen special meeting at 4 today, but nothing else besides our meeting currently, and then the Board of Selectmen special meeting. So there's nothing posted at all.
Well, I sent it in to
Oh, no, wait,
Darlene.
there you go. Board of Selectmen special meeting. No, that's the Park and Recreation special meeting at 9. Okay, it just doesn't show up there. It is at 3, yeah, 3 o'clock.
Yeah,
I see that there, but no, I never got this. Ugh.
sorry. Special meeting agenda is, Lynn wanted to plan some sort of an event to welcome Matt. And then we had learn to swim and open skate programs. And then an executive session to hire a recreational aide. Boom, boom, boom. We need, as a commission, this is outside of what we're doing, but Lynn had also wanted to approve a new session for the adult yoga program. I said, we don't have to do that. We've already approved the program. I think I think we should put in a document that would say the only time we would have to approve something is if the person who's putting on the program changes.
Yeah.
Once we've approved the program, we shouldn't have to go back and approve every session or every, New Milford approves programs and then it's a rollover. People sign up for, a 6-week session of this and then the next 6-week session, they just sign up again. but the commission doesn't go back and reapprove that program,
Right.
so.
Yeah, that
I
seems like.
didn't put that on,
We can put a pin in that for the bylaws committee.
yeah.
Um, okay, I cannot go to a meeting at 3 o'clock today. So,
I think Lynn and I and John, and Blythe, if you could be there maybe for,
I have to see, I've got my board here, so I'm kind of carving out the time for this one right now, so,
oh, okay.
um,
We'll see what we get
how many do we need for a quorum?
for.
You think Naomi can go or Karen?
Yeah, I'll get Karen to go.
Okay.
That's
I'll try to join if I can, but, I can't promise anything right now.
no problem. I'm,
nice
But
weather for your
back to
board.
the back to the original question, which was, when do we need this to be done so that we can take it to the full commission so that we can then have their blessing on it and take it to the Board of Selectmen? I know that February is the month when they're looking at this stuff, and
right.
we're gonna turn around and it's gonna be late February.
Well, I think if we meet one more time next week, and then the commission could meet after that. And then we could get Matt up to speed so that when we do go to the Board of Selectmen, we can ask to be scheduled last if we can, when they call departments in under the circumstances.
I'm going to be out of the country from February 16th to the 28th. Sorry.
That's quite all right. So we've got the basics ideas fleshed out. And you agree with all those.
Absolutely. And the slides are great. And I think, if we could just fill in some of that stuff on the slides, and make them pretty, that's sort of outside of my wheelhouse. But I have a sister who knows how to do this kind of thing. Yeah, I think we just need to fill in the slides. I mean, we've got all this sort of mapped out. Abigail's mapped it on the,
Is she coming back on?
She said she would rejoin at 2.
Okay.
And then shortly after that, we'll fill her in or whatever. So I think the two-pronged thing, I like the idea of this is what we're asking one person to do.
yeah,
And then this is how we foresee a more efficient department. We need 2 people for
and dependable.
for continuity reasons, for purely for the fact that we believe that with the types of participation that we're getting, the increased participation in programs, we're in a position to build newer programs, more programs. We plan on working with other, maybe even other towns to provide senior programming that's park and rec related, not just a senior center type thing. So we're, that this is where the commission believes we should be.
And John Grant's point of we need to make sure to get ahead of people who will view this as spending money on a position when we're not, when we could be spending that money on Emery Park. And we need to make sure we make the point that spending this money is actually because we want to work on Emery Park.
Right.
And not spending this money is hindering our ability to work on Emery.
That's a key point right there.
I don't know whether it's,
You know, and grants are not easy. Some grants are easy to do, but a lot of the grants are very time consuming to do them correctly and to make sure you crossed all your T's and dotted your I's and stuff like that, so that you get a positive response from the people giving out the money. The money's there but we need people, we need to give our director the time to be able to do that.
yeah. So slide number 4 is, I think, where we have this point. So we could flush out this slide
Yeah.
a little bit more.
The one about parks.
Yeah, so this hire is to maintain and grow recreation so that the director can continue collaborating with commission, address the parks. So I think that's sort of where we would put this. And then it follows slide 3, which makes sense.
Okay, so say what you just said. I'll just throw those notes down in the, come on now.
About slide number 4.
Yeah, I'm trying to get down here. Okay. So just tell me what you said. This is the one about that says the state of parks in Kent does not
Yeah.
match the number of our programs. So
Right. And then the
remind me what-
next slide is that,
right, to maintain and grow recreation, but the next
right,
address the
So-
park.
so that we can address the state of our parks. It's, gosh, I have no idea what I did just say.
Maintain and grow recreation so that address the parks, yeah. Parks, and not just parks, but just deferred, like, because we have to talk about, right, we do have to talk about the deferred maintenance issues that John brought up.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so that that can be addressed, we are not taking money away from the parks. We are reimagining the responsibilities so as to enable our director to address the needs of the physical parks. One of those slides, I think she's got all the different, she's got the different programs. All those things that you listed off, Blythe, of the responsibilities
That
of the
seems
director.
like number 7, slide 7, maybe. See where see slide 7 where she's got 2-person department precedent.
Yep.
Do we really have a precedent in this department of 2 people? No. But I do think we could argue here that how many other one-person departments, this might be where we're,
Yeah, I mean, I've never just focused on that on the website. I mean, I think we could do that offline. We don't have to do that here, but just to sort of look through and see. Maybe that's something that Darlene could answer pretty quickly.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Just how many departments in the town are just one person departments? It's the treasurer, one person department.
Yeah. But they're essentially a part-time position. I mean, she works for different towns.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole point is, like there's a town clerk and then there's an assistant town clerk. I think the assistant is probably what, half part-time? Or are they 2 full-time town clerks?
I don't know. I think
Oh,
that
But again,
Darlene's full-time and then,
they're in the office, 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 or whatever it is. They're not,
right.
and
But at least the assistant, regardless, has a good working knowledge of all the different things. Maybe not everything, but can still keep the daily business of the office going if Darlene can't be there.
I think the question is going to come up as to why this can't be a part-time position. I think we're going to be asked that question.
Well, because for
I think it's a valid
what we've
question.
been doing over the years, but it hasn't worked well.
But a salaried part-time, I don't know, a salaried part-time position, I don't know, with a little bit of with hours not to exceed, something like that.
Huh.
But we can answer that because we know that if you have a part-time position, you go back to the contingency thing, that person will have other responsibilities that cannot necessarily be simply dropped in the event that we need them to take on the full role. So we can answer it that way.
Yeah, and I think again, a salaried part-time position, again, we're kind of back in the position that we were for
Right.
part-timer for Camp Ken, a part-timer for ASP. The part-timers don't stay.
Right.
And we're looking, historically, we know that, and they would not be able to just drop what they're doing and help out the director and all of this other stuff.
Right.
But we've had problems maintaining part-time people. And that's just for one job. A part-timer for Camp Ken isn't doing parks or taking minutes or, walking the fields or setting up or breaking down other events. They're doing one thing.
Okay, so should we, I mean, I think we all need to kind of, I'm gonna have to go now. What are our action items? What do we need to? I'm gonna ask, you guys want me to, oh, you guys are gonna have a meeting this afternoon, right, Rufus?
Yeah,
Okay,
but That's just specifically for the three things on the agenda. There's no,
Okay, so there's no decision to be made about what to do going forward with this.
well, we want to get financial numbers.
Right,
We want to figure out the wording of this idea of continuity and whatnot. And a slide that shows what exactly we're under present time, what a director would have to do to keep going. I mean,
Mhm.
you're asking for a huge commitment, and
Right,
it's more than one person can do. And
right,
in order to have somebody who is qualified and can deal with a multitude of programs, a second person who would do Camp Kent after school and some other programming work to fill out to make it full time. See, a lot of people are saying, oh, you don't have enough for two full timers. And I think we do because we're not getting, Jared couldn't get around. I mean, he made decisions on what was more important, building programs, dealing with the parents, getting to know the kids, or is he going to spend time figuring out setting up a master plan for Emery Park? That, and he spent time doing field maintenance because we don't have a crew to do that kind of stuff. So he was doing it himself. That's the quandary, but I think our figures need to show that there's been increased participation, increased programming, increased desire by more people in Kent to have, and I don't have the numbers for the after-school program. I know where they are. I know which folder to look at for 2018 and 19. I, you know, I don't know where they are. Lynn was looking more at some of the numbers from from Jared's, files.
Were we gonna try to find another Camp Kent enrollment number besides the summer 19, summer 22?
Well, we don't have one yet for this coming year because we haven't advertised for it. And then we had COVID
Yeah,
for 2 years, which really kind of affected things.
so the summer 18 was the last before COVID, right?
Right.
Okay, and then summer 22 is when we picked back up, or was it before that?
Um,
no, there should be we don't have numbers for 1920. And we don't have numbers for 2021, but we should have numbers for 21, 22.
So we should have numbers for summer 2021, right?
Summer 21, I think, is still COVID.
Oh, okay.
So
So
Rufus,
summer 2022, we should have that number, and we should have
we should get that. Yeah,
should have last summers. I think
right,
it
right.
said
So Rufus said that we had 62 kids in summer 23, but we do not yet have the numbers for summer 22. But those we did run the camp that summer, we just don't have the number. And
right.
we have summer 19, we have 43 kids.
right.
So yeah, so if we could have that number would be great. And then the revenue number would be great. And then the numbers of kids in the after school would be great.
Do we have,
I don't think the revenue, sorry, Blythe, I don't think the revenue from after school really matters. Well, I guess it does, actually.
Well, that, things like that are gonna vary considerably.
Right.
Um,
But I guess but that does but it does help make the argument that,
I mean, I don't know if we can get the revenues for specific programs, particularly from pre-COVID, because, you know,
we have revenue for all our programs and every budget we have revenue from our programs. So it's all in those budgets.
I don't, until we were on my rec, I'm not sure that, I don't know
Oh,
whether,
so I'm sorry, Rufus. So you're talking about pre-COVID.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I
So,
misunderstood.
I mean, I think our revenues should look at the gross revenues. And those change. I mean, because of the Kent Community Fund.
I just remember vaguely that I remember Jared when he was making this case originally, he said that the revenues and see if you guys remember this in your heads. He made the argument that the revenue from Camp Kent and at the after school program alone, and that set against the cost of the necessary hiring cost warranted this hire. Do you remember that at all?
I sort of remember that. Okay. So I will ask Barbara that specific question. If she can break out for us those numbers. Otherwise, and here's the glitch. I mean, I don't have a way to get onto my rec.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Nobody's given me that.
The
We
golden
could
key.
ask, Matt when he comes in on Monday, hey, could you try to figure this out for us? Or I'll ask Lynn, because
Yeah,
Lynn's been doing the MyRec portion.
and it had that chart. Remember that chart? Wasn't that a revenue comparison chart that she had put together?
Um, there was a little chart. Where
Yeah.
do I have it?
We need to,
Um,
we need to get that.
I'm so
He had a
sorry, you
little
guys.
chart that had,
I gotta go.
Go ahead, Kate.
yeah,
I'm so sorry. I'm going to, what am I gonna do?
You're gonna
Tell me
look
what,
out. You're gonna look out for another meeting. We'll try to do another one next week.
okay. Okay. Um, and what else can I do? What else can I do to help in the meantime?
Well,
Continue
maybe
to look at those slides and,
I figured maybe I'll talk to Abigail. I have a little knowledge of how to do these slides, so maybe I'll talk to Abigail. I'll just see if maybe the two of us could get together. I mean, I don't know if we need to warn that if two of us are going to work on wording on the slides or not. Do we need to warn that as a formal meeting or not? I mean, I'm assuming we're not putting this entire slideshow together on Zoom.
well, everything you're gonna put on this, I would argue that everything you're gonna put on the slides has already been discussed in public.
Right.
right,
And will be again.
will be again.
So,
I mean, and we should probably present, like you said earlier, Blythe, we would have to have a special meeting of the commission to review the slides that we've come up with.
Yeah, I mean, we want to give them a sense of what our plan is before we go into the Board of Selectmen.
Right.
So Root, let's try to plan on something next week. I'll reach out to Abigail separately. Rufus, see if you can get these comparatives. If you go into the notes, the running notes
Yeah,
document, it's right up at the top. I'm gonna highlight a couple things that you could look for to see if you can get them.
okay.
Okay.
And I'll get a hold of Barbara and Jared. I'll probably see Jared on Sunday. We've got to try to arrange for the computer to come back from Jared so that Matt has a computer on Monday.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
Bye.
Kate.
Okay. So, Rufus, you want to close the meeting and would you like me to file the minutes?
Yeah, we'll close the meeting and I mean, the minutes are really just a continuing discussion.
It's just a quick, I mean, I have a template that I can just
Okay,
update with today's date and today's start and end times and send to Darlene.
okay, so we'll close the meeting at 2:14 p.m.
Yep.
and we'll go from there.
Okay, and then we can
Okay.
try to find a date for next week.
Okay,
Okay,
all righty.
great. Thank you,
Appreciate
Rufus.
it.
No,
Thank you.
no problem. I'll talk to you later.
Yep. Bye.